Good morning, Dan. How's Big Ten Media Day treating you?
Man, doing great. How are you guys doing?
We're doing great. It's just wheeling and dealing. It's it's one guest to the next. We talked to PJ Fleck at 6:30 our time, and he's just like ranting and raving about Dan Lanning. He's the greatest guy. He's the nicest guy.
PJ's awesome.
It's interesting, Coach, because not every other coach is trying to be complimentary of Oregon right now, but he went out of his way to be complimentary of you.
No, he, you get an opportunity to bump into some of these coaches, whether it's Big Ten meetings or Nike trip, and getting to meet PJ and his wife. He's somebody I really got an opportunity to connect with, and it's just a great example of you don't know somebody until you sit down and have a meal with them or break bread.
You talked about the summer. You brought up The Art of War, which is a real favorite for coaches. I'm curious, was there one specific part of that book when reading it that sticks with Dan Lanning the most?
Yeah, I always think about the way they talk about the battles won, far away from the battlefield and the preparation required. That translates so well to football, and that's something that obviously resonates with us.
It's you guys go in with a lot of expectation, a lot of noise. I would imagine when you get to a point of noise, it's actually a good representation of where you've taken a program.
Yeah, I mean, we haven't accomplished the things that we've set out to accomplish, but I certainly think we've put our team in a position where we're going to have a chance to compete at the highest level. And you hope that you're a part of a program that has high expectations because you've helped create those.
When you come out to Big Ten Media Day, it seems like you guys stole the show with the big inflatable duck on day one. How important has it been for you to get out your program's messaging and your branding to future recruits that could be watching?
All this it's all great, but it doesn't translate to wins necessarily. Certainly there's some messaging in there for guys that we want to join our program in the future. The most important thing is that we go out there and put a great product on the field.
We're talking with Oregon coach Dan Lanning. He's joining us live in Indianapolis. You talked about going from dad, husband mode, summer mode. You went on a coach's retreat. I am curious, when does that switch officially get flipped? Like, what's that moment like for Dan Lanning to go from dad, summer mode to completely zoned in on football season?
Consider switch flipped. We're at that moment. Now we get to fly back tonight from Indianapolis, so maybe I'll get to walk in the door and the wife and kids are still up and awake. But we're full tilt boogie now.
Well, when you look at that offense, you got a new quarterback coach, and I asked this with Terrence. Like, there's a lot of similarities and some differences from Bo to Dillon. I'm curious what you and Coach Stein have talked about offensively, having this new quarterback and things he brings that are slightly different than what Bo had.
Well, one of the biggest differences is he's left-handed, so that's something we're having to adapt to. Outside of that, there is a lot of similarities in their leadership, but they're completely unique and authentic to themselves, which I appreciate. They're both guys that have had great experience coming in are quick learners. We try to throw a lot at these guys, and see what sticks, and he's done a phenomenal job of learning our system, how to operate it, giving him a little bit of control that he maybe hasn't had in the past to operate. So it's been good to see that transition.
On your side of the ball, you have some key returners on defense, and you brought in some big-name transfers and some big-name high school recruits. What are we going to expect to see on that side of the ball, and who can be some big-time performers that we might not be talking about yet?
Yeah, it's always hard for me to give that perspective, and I know you guys love that. But Coach speaking to me, he's going to say, hey, why don't you watch the season and see who shows up? Because it's always fun to figure out who we weren't talking about that ends up having great performances. Defensively, our expectation is to be better than we were last year, but it's a completely new team, completely different team, and it's a different conference. So how we play great defense, we have to be adaptable, and we have to make sure that we have enough of a package that can adjust to the people that we're going to be playing against. But we certainly have some great personnel that can help us out there on the field.
You have a pretty good reputation for being adaptable. I said this to PJ. I've been reading this Bill Walsh book, and it's very interesting hearing.
Which one?
Give me a second. I forgot the title of it.
You weren't reading it close.
No,
huh?
I am. I'm just not very good with memorizing things.
Wow.
Oh, my God.
You saw a quote on Twitter.
No, I swear to God.
Come on, man.
I have it from the Clackamas library, Coach. The score takes care of itself. The philosophies of Bill Walsh, yes.
That was back when I was audiobook world, and I listened to that. I actually got it out of a library and listened to that same book. So it's been a while, but there's probably some good stuff in there.
There's great stuff in there and a good perspective from people who worked with Bill. And one of the things is he thought about quitting. He was so embarrassed after losing a game his second season.
Yeah.
Being an adaptable guy and being young in the job, what are things that you've adapted to or how you evolve in your role year to year?
Yeah, I think, one, there's a way different perspective now of the first year you're trying to teach everybody in the organization how you want things to be done. Now we have a group that kind of understands my expectations of them on the field and in the office and what that looks like, that workload, and a lot of people are able to share that load. I'm able to lean in and trust our coaches and the decisions they can make, but then also be a sounding board and some advice for them when it comes to be, in position to make tough decisions. At the same time, you go back and you evaluate every loss, every non-win, whether it's a play, was it successful or not, or just a scheme, and I think that you have to do a good job evaluating, okay, is that something that's going to be beneficial for us moving forward, or do we have to change that?
Coach Lanning, you talked about going on a coaches retreat and spending time away from everything with just your coaches. I know that I've seen on X, Dillon Gabriel has done the same thing, but with the players. How important is that camaraderie, that chemistry to helping push this program to new heights and reaching a Big Ten championship game or even further on past that?
Yeah, for us, I think connection has been that secret sauce. It's something that really makes our team tick, and our coaching staff is a group that certainly enjoys being around each other. We can work there in the mornings and then have a good opportunity to fellowship in the afternoons, and really just get to know each other better. And this is one of the staffs that I've been a part of that after work's over with, you enjoy sharing a cold frosty or telling a story with each other, and that's, I think, really important when it comes down to how hard the season is, especially when you're starting to talk about the months of November, December, and January. There's
a lot of hype for Dillon at Oregon. Not that you matter about preseason stuff, but I am curious, how did that relationship start in terms of you guys talking to one another and eventually getting him in Eugene?
Yeah, once he entered the portal, you lean back on prior experience. He's obviously a guy I've seen from afar. If you're a fan of college football, you can't be aware of what he's been able to accomplish. And then there was just a lot of natural connections. His affinity for Oregon growing up in high school. He was telling me the story the other day of being a third grader and seeing Marcus Mariota, and his appreciation for what he's done for the game. So it just a lot of those dots started to connect.
I had seen a coach yesterday, I won't name names, seemed to get nervous up there on the podium. I'm aware that you're doing a lot of national things. I think McAfee, you've either done McAfee or you're going to do McAfee. Do you still get nervous at all? Because your opening speech was pretty good. Do you still get nervous?
Not for that. I'm way more nervous. I get nervous for every game. I get way more nervous for every game. Like I'm the guy that has to go pee 3 times right before kickoff. It's just so much fun. Your heart starts to race. Those are the moments you live for. For this, I don't get too nervous. I don't think this is going to equate to wins and losses.
I'm not really sure why, but a narrative got formed at some point for like a week about you guys and whether you're ready to switch over to Big Ten football. I know you don't care about that per se, but what is it about the Big Ten you're most excited about?
I say most of the stuff you guys are talking about I don't care about. So, no offense.
That's cold-blooded. I give you the
I know.
I
appreciate. I know. I appreciate. But it doesn't matter, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't equate. What am I excited about? I'm excited about the vision of this conference. I'm really excited about the leadership. Tony Petitti is. This is somebody that we get to work with, not work for. Which is awesome. Like right before I hopped on the stage today, he was kind of walking through, hey, give me your opinion on this, give me your thoughts on this, and then telling me, hey, this is where I see this heading. So that openness and that aggressiveness to take the voices of that coaching room and carry it out into action has been really impressive.
Boy, a big change of scenery from a year ago doing these media days, was it not?
Yeah, a little cooler here in Indianapolis, a little bit different, a little bit different setting. But yeah, it's been good.
Natural rivalries, you're still kind of new-ish to Oregon. I know you're going into another season with it. And fans that have loved this program their whole lives, they get adapted to new rivalries. It kind of feels like some already naturally built just through media narratives. Not that matters to you, but just how all that's going to go against some of these new teams.
Yeah, we're excited about the teams that we're going to get to compete against. Obviously, the most important game on our schedule is Idaho, right? There's your coach speak, right? But and I don't know if that'll turn into a rivalry or not, but we are excited about the venues, the teams that we're going to play, the tradition that exists in this conference. Obviously getting the opportunity to continue that Oregon State game is big. Getting to play, having an opportunity to take another shot at Washington and go play those guys is going to be fun. But that's what makes college football great, or some of those rivalries that exist in the sport.
Do any of those particular games from last year stick out? You talk about rethinking moments and decision-making. I'd imagine a couple of those.
Any game I lose, I wake up in the morning thinking about them, and I go to bed at night thinking about them. So obviously those resonate with me.
I think we're really excited to see the Hogs on both sides of the lines, how we're feeling about our line play going into camp.
Yeah, I'm excited. It's going to be a new group on the offensive line, and there's a lot of adjustments. It's a little bit easier to be a newer player on a defensive line and go make an impact. Offensive line is such a cohesive unit that it's really important. We've got some bookend tackles that really have great experience and are playing at a high level and work their tails off this summer, and Johnny and Josh. Marcus Harper returns a lot of experience, and then Poncho is a young guy last year that we were able to get a lot of great experience in games. I think he was a freshman All-American, did a lot of great things. So that group is new in a lot of ways, but on the same note, returned some great experience. It'll be fun to see those guys operate and figure out what other pieces to the puzzle fit there for us. Defensive line, I'm certainly really excited about. I think we're able to get some great transition guys there in the portal for us with Harmon and Jamari, and then having some guys with great experience already in the program, whether it's Keon Ware-Hudson or being able to see guys in year 2, Amari Washington, Mikael Gardner, and some of these guys on the edge that have done a good job for us, with Mateo and Tatum, and seeing those guys grow up. So I'm excited about the front because that's really where you win football games.
When you talk about that offensive line unit,
I didn't say anything about Jordan Birch, and he certainly deserves recognition there, and that's why I never like doing the player thing. But he has worked his tail off this offseason, put on a lot of muscle, and has been really impressive.
When you talked about the offensive line unit there, Coach, I know last year you guys kind of had a rotation, and it led to a lot of success in the run game. Are you thinking of having a similar rotation going along this year? It's a little bit abnormal for a college to do that, but you guys seem to excel at it.
Well, I've always said that if you're good enough, you're old enough. So if you're good enough to impact our team and be able to play for us, we want to figure out a way to use you, and that's our job as coaches to figure out how to get guys involved. There's something to be said for chemistry and making sure guys are playing well with each other, but there's also something to be said for development in your program and really bridging yourself whenever an injury does occur, that you're ready for that moment and not having to react, but you're more proactive in that approach.
These programs are so big. There's so many players. The staffs are massive. There's a lot that goes on for you. I got to imagine when you have the amount of experience returning, in a way, it's a little bit off the shoulders in terms of you can trust guys that are familiar with what you're looking for and aiming for daily to kind of, in a way, be coaches on their own teams, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think any coach that's out here will tell you that the best teams are player-led teams, and you have to create, what does the standard look like? What's ownership? When we take the field, what's it look like? When we're doing this drill, what's it look like? You have to teach that, but then the players help enforce that, and they help hold your team to that higher standard.
We'll get you out of here with this because we appreciate you stopping by. You guys play Ohio State October 12th, and that's not the question because I know you're not going to answer it, but Sunday – we've got a Bo Nix, Justin Herbert game, which is an interesting position for a Dan Lanning to be in because you've embraced the old parts and great parts of Oregon while also developing and helping Bo achieve his dream. How is Sunday on October 13th going to go for Dan Lanning?
What do you guys think about like a 99-98 game? Like that would be pretty awesome, right? Both quarterbacks throw for 1,000 yards. I would love to see that. I got to visit with Bo last week a little bit. I think he's really enjoying the transition, and I'm really impressed with his ability to say, hey, when it happens, it'll happen, but he's enjoying his experience. And then obviously Justin has been an unbelievable ambassador of our program. I've asked a couple people around here who their favorite team is, and a lot of them tell me the Chargers, and I say, why? Well, it's really because of Justin, so that's obviously that guy made an unbelievable impact here. My oldest son is going to be entering Sheldon High School this year. I don't know if he'll be part of the fishing hunting club that Justin was a part of, but I'm certainly going to push him that way, maybe encourage him to get out there and get his feet wet.
Yeah, absolutely. Good stuff. Dan Lanning, head coach of the Oregon Ducks at Big Ten Media Day. Thank you so much for joining us, Coach. Coach speak and fun general program building talk. We enjoy it, man.
Appreciate you guys. Have a great one.
All right, there we go. Good stuff from Dan Lanning, head coach of the Oregon Ducks.